Truth and love, everybody. I'm gonna just hop right into it. Um, this video is all about who's really in your way. And anytime I do these videos, I'm gonna be doing it from my personal perspective, because it wouldn't make sense to do it any other way. But I've been doing some reflection, and I reflect a lot, a whole lot. I do a lot of reflection work. I do a lot of shadow work. I do a lot of light work, accountability work, chakra work, whatever. I do a lot of work. And when it comes to blame versus accountability, this is something that I've been studying within myself for a few years now. I've been doing accountability work since 2016, and so I'm just gonna show you pretty much what I'm talking about when it comes to somebody being in my way. For the longest time, and I didn't know this, there's a lot that I didn't know because a lot of people, and this isn't to blame, this is just the truth, a lot of people never really held me accountable for shit. Really didn't. Just let me, you know, steer off into the woods, instead of keeping me on the road. And I had to take accountability, despite whoever was in the passenger seat. I had to take accountability for the person that was in the driver's seat, me. And once I was able to catch on to me playing the blame game for things, is when I started asking myself, how am I in my own way? Who did I believe was in my way in the first place? And I started asking myself some questions, right? And the more and more I delved into it, the more I realized, yeah, I'm in my own way. I am in my own way, either by the things that I'm saying that I speak into existence, either by playing the blame game where I'm still not taking full accountability for something. Um, there was always a way where I ended up getting in my own way. But here was a big revelation I had, I want to say a week ago. I remember driving with somebody, like I was in the passenger seat, and they kept saying the same shit. Was, damn, why these people always in my way? Somebody's always in my way. And so I sat back and reflected, and I've been reflecting on it since, where I'm saying to myself, how am I getting in my own way? Like, who do I still think is really in my way? And it hit me one day. It was actually, for those of you who's been following me doing the chakra series, on my open mic. Shout out to you guys. I really love you and appreciate you. Um, the day that I was doing heart chakra work, um, I was going through it. I was going through it as soon as I woke up, and I was so angry because it always felt like people who have done me dirty somehow, some way, disrespected me, always seemed to have leveled up in life, and I always got held back. And they seem to have done it very quickly. So I was upset, I was pissed off, and instead of choosing to stay mad and choosing to blame, even if I'm you know what, I'm gonna get to that in a second. Even if the blame seemed righteous, I'm just gonna say that for now. Um, I still needed to take accountability of my reaction towards it, how I handled it, not necessarily what exactly was happening to me. And it clicked with me because there was so much trauma coming up. that instead of moving on from the trauma, though this is something I've been practicing for a long time too, instead of moving on from my traumas, I ended up looking at everybody like they were my abusers. I allowed, not realizing it, but I allowed my abusers to live rent free in my mind. And because I did that, everybody started to look like my abuser because they played such pivotal roles in my life. They changed my life forever multiple times. And anytime I would get frustrated or I would want to feel ugly and want to do something ugly, I would envision them and envision that I was doing something to them, hurting them, punching them in the face, all that, right? And because their presence was so strong in my mind, their energy leaked into other people, into my projection. So anytime anybody outside of myself would do something that was wrong or disrespectful, whether it was towards me or not, um, anytime somebody would even make a mistake, immediately my mind says, you're an abuser. You're an abuser. You're an abuser. And so I allowed, with that mentality, other people to get in my way because there was still a part of my heart that was still so broken that even though people outside of me may have done me wrong, they were not the core of my hurt. The abusers were the core of my hurt. And once I realized that, I said, wow, now I need to become the core of my peace. You see what I'm saying? I need to become the core of my peace through accountability. And so I had to say to myself, wow, if I continue to practice forgiveness work, which is something I've been practicing a lot of practices for a very long fucking time. And no matter how much, and this is a side note, no matter how much you practice, it's not about becoming perfect. There may always be some trauma that comes up, whether it's past life trauma or trauma that's happened in this life. There may always be something of the polarity coming up where you experience joy. You may come across an experience that could take you to the opposite of joy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's a lesson for me to just not be perfect, but just be persistent in my healing. Despite all the practices I've been practicing for a long time, um, being able to take full accountability for what has gone on in my life, um, it's not to say that I'm putting all the weight and blame and everything on my shoulders. The thing is, when it comes to accountability, and that's the difference between blame and accountability, when you're blaming someone else or you're blaming yourself, you're putting the weight of fault on yourself or someone else. and then nothing is done with that. Nothing's done with that weight. Whereas I learned with accountability, you have more of an opportunity to alchemize that weight. You can either feel that weight and do the work, and then you get to push up and push out, and you become stronger. You can take that weight, you can break it down. If it was like cement cinder blocks, you can make a little statue out of it. There's so many ways you can alchemize, but when it comes to accountability, blame is about throwing powerlessness on yourself and somebody else, whereas accountability is about finding your power within a faulty system or situation and being able to turn that around in your favor and therefore collectively in the favor of others, whether they see it that way or not. And so when it comes to saying somebody else is in my way, this person's in my way, that person's in my way, until you're able to see your projection 100% clearly, you're always going to think somebody else is in your way. And that is what I'm learning for myself. Nobody else can truly be in my way but me. If somebody else is in my way, let's just say for an example, right? Let's just give it a good example. You walking down the street, you got somebody that's trying to provoke you because of your light, or they're trying to provoke you because of something that you have, whatever the case is, or they're just having a really fucked up day and they want to take it out on somebody, want to take it out on you. Say you're walking and literally somebody steps in front of you so that you can't make your way through. That person is in your way to test how much you are really in your way. If it's a situation, and I'm not like gonna break down the entire scenario, at the end of the day, it's really about how you handle the situation. Sometimes you gotta fight your way through the situation. That's just what it is. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, fighting is bad and yada yada yada. No, sometimes that shit is necessary. Okay? And I'm not promoting violence or promoting fighting. It's just a part of the scenario. But sometimes your highest self, which is God, will place somebody in your way to handle if you're going to make that situation worse or better. And you can, just as an example, you can punch somebody in the face. They're not in your way no more, right? But they were pretty much fucking asking for it. Because no matter what you tried to do, no matter how you try to pivot and dodge, even if you try to run across the street and dodge the situation, say you would have hit that man, and you kept him moving. How it's possible you can continue to stay in your way after that is by continuing to talk about the situation. When you continue to talk about the situation and you bitch and you complain and you bitch and you complain, that means you haven't really gotten through the situation. So you may have gotten through the person that was trying to block you, but you didn't get through that situation. You didn't get through the why. You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to getting through the situation, you're still stuck on the why would that person do this to me? Why would this person do that to me? Instead of simply asking yourself, what lesson was I supposed to learn? And then you're going to be a hell of a lot more apt to find out the real reason why that person was standing in front of you. What was I supposed to learn that day? You know what I'm saying? What was that man here to teach me? Because at the end of the day, you could be a hardcore drug addict, you can be a fucking rapist, you can be a bully, you can be some of the worst on this planet. You can be somebody who just enjoys dishwashing. You can be somebody who does yoga and nothing else. Or whatever, however you choose to live, whether you like to admit it or not, you will always be a student, and therefore you will always be a teacher. And that person that may have stood in your way was there to teach you something. But because this person may have looked bummy or methed out or, too perfect or whatever the case is, always look at the other person like they're a teacher. They may not look at themselves that way, and that's okay. They don't have to. But if you're choosing to be on a higher frequency, you're choosing to be on a higher consciousness, I would invite you to look at everybody like they're teachers and students, and you got to do the same for yourself. You're a teacher, you're a student at all times. This is a university, okay? We're learning and teaching at all times. So a great example of getting in your own way is by ruminating in or staying in that hamster wheel of replaying what happened in your mind. And this full circles back to my realization. I would sit there and say, instead of saying, what was this person here to teach me? They may have been abusive to me, but I never said what were they here to teach me. I even asked myself, what was I supposed to learn? Oh man, I'm just opening up a whole new thing. I'm gonna take that tab and switch it over back to this one. You stay in a hamster wheel of hurt when the core of your hurt has yet to been alchemized through love, forgiveness, acceptance, and just pushing forward to constantly ruminate in the drama of things. And I have a whole presentation when it comes to drama. I don't know where and when I'm gonna drop it at, but I'm excited. I'm super excited. Instead of going from point A to point Z when it comes to lesson learning, we're stuck in the alphabet trying to scramble and decode the words that were said, the words that were never said, and everything in between. When you get yourself caught up in drama, you're never gonna truly learn the lesson that's really meant for you. And I'm speaking to myself. I'm just talking to my reflections here for anybody who chooses to understand it. But that's how I realized I was getting in my own way, by continuing to replay things that have happened to me, and me thinking that I'm gonna find justice in replaying the trauma, or me finding justice or alchemy in hurting my abusers back. And that may work for some people, and then maybe boom, maybe that was the strength that they needed to move on. I'm not here to speak for everybody, but I do know that continuing to replay a situation that was not a part of my core trauma, choosing to get stuck on that, was a distraction from my core trauma, and it was a distraction from me doing the necessary work it took for me to let all of that go. And that's how I was getting in my own motherfucking way. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you have stayed through pretty much the 20-minute chat I'm having here, thank you for listening. Because it's not about you listening to me, it's about you listening to a version of yourself that you're already there and you've done this work and this is your confirmation, or you would like to get here and you are looking to do more work for yourself so that you can let go of core traumas. Um, Either way, I'd like to see myself as a reflection, not somebody separate from you who's trying to do all this godly work for clout. Okay? Um, but that's all I got. That's how I got in my own way. I am confident that whoever is truly listening to this been able to help out somehow, some way, and I'm very grateful for that. All right. Tonight I am doing the throat chakra on the open mic, so stay tuned for that. I may actually even go live with that. I'm considering to go live with that one. Um, like I said, to anybody who's been there and has been supporting me, I really love you and appreciate you dearly. And I think I'm gonna actually pop up with another video. Um, I'm not sure yet, but I really need to get this one out. I love you guys. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Be kind to yourself, be peace with yourself, and enjoy the journey. Peace.